All right, cool. I think we should be in. We should be going. I'm just going to start. Steffen, you good? You want to?
I'm good. I can see the live counter starting up in the corner.
All right, perfect. Cool. Well, everybody, I'm super excited today. We're going to chat about some things. You already understand the premise of being here. We're going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. I started a community years ago when I was in-house, helping in-house marketers navigate things that are very unique challenges to them. And one of the things that's been really cool since I've gone out on my own and started growth sprints has been working with my client, Sendoso, who is also a customer of Steffen's at Dreamdata. And it's been amazing to see all of this cool stuff. I'm going to share a ton of behind the scenes today. I hope I blurred everything out. Hopefully I don't have to panic close as I'm scrolling through my slides real quick of did I blur everything out? I'm pretty sure I did. But I just want to share a bunch of behind the scenes stuff of how we use this, how effective everything is. Because Steffen, if I'm being really honest with you, the reason I reached out to you to do this was I've been blown away, not just using Dreamdata for myself, but also seeing just how effective it was at Sendoso,
That's nice to hear, Brendan.
It's just compliments, right?
But I think it is. Well, I was thinking before this session started that I was thinking most of the people who bash attribution on the LinkedIn feed have never ever seen a world-class B2B attribution vendor and the data that you're actually able to see. Mm-hmm. They're mad at the original source field in their CRM because that says something about what was the last session before somebody converted on a 52 session journey. Yeah. And that, yes, marketing looks horrible when you look at that session. But if you look at where the demand truly comes from, then you'll see that, marketing in the Sendoso case, maybe we're part of gifting, marketing was part of a webinar and all those sorts of things. So I think the real enemy here is the original source fields of CRMs that are just completely misleading the conversation about marketing.
I completely agree. And as somebody who lives heavily in content, I remember Gary Vee famously said something to the effect of, somebody's like, what's the ROI of an Instagram post? And he was like, I don't know, what's the ROI of your mom? You can't even begin to quantify some of this stuff. And people are trying to, I've seen people try to quantify the ROI of a comment on LinkedIn. And as somebody who lives and breathes content, it is really hard to continue arguing hey, this is a campaign and it's overall, and it's just something we have to believe in, right? It's this faith-based marketing of we just believe it to be true, and it is. So we believe that it works. And what's been really cool with Sendoso, which we'll dive into here in a second, has been just getting into all of the really cool stuff, being able to see exactly how everything works. And on not just, I would say not even how it works, but just how everything kind of plays together, seeing, hey, this individual piece of content or that touch point. I'm super excited. I honestly, the biggest thing that bummed me out when I was in-house and still bums me out working with clients. I'm to the point now where I feel like I'm pitching Sendoso or not Sendoso. I'm pitching Dreamdata to people before I even start working with them. I'm like, hey, are we even going to be able to track this effectively? Because it's just going to create more of a headache for you, you know?
And I think it's if you think about those, we put out some benchmarks earlier this year saying that the average journey amongst our customers is 211 days.
Yep.
And with the work you guys do at Growth Sprint, you lift the organic performance. Correct me if I'm wrong. That means you start getting traffic in 1-2 months after you start. Mm-hmm. And then it's still going to be 200 days after those first sessions start reaping in more traffic. And if you have no way of connecting those two events or those two dots, then this is not going to look like a great case for you.
Absolutely. And the thing is, too, this is something I've harped on. We all know our sales cycle, right? I can hop on a call with any company. I'm like, what's your sales cycle? It's this for mid-market. It's this for SMB. It's this for enterprise. We know all these numbers. And I'm like, cool. What's your marketing cycle? Freaking crickets. Nobody knows how long on average people are taking in their marketing, are building trust with a brand ahead of deciding to raise their hand. I'm going to show people some proof from that today, which I think is going to be, I think, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think just to kind of make sure people get what you're saying when you say sales cycle, Brendan, I'm assuming you mean from a deal is created until it's either a closed lost or closed won, right?
Yep. From the moment somebody, becomes a highly activated trial or books a demo or something like that, they become whatever we want to call it, like an S1, an SQL or something with 10,000, right? Or the worst.
But it's not about those 2 or 3 months. There's 6 months in front of that.
Absolutely. And this was the question that Sendoso was trying to answer when I started working with them. So I'm going to try really hard not to speak for Casey Jenkins. She's the SVP of marketing at Sendoso, and she's brilliant. But all of this is shared, obviously, with her permission and the teams. But this was the thing is they knew they sell gifting. There could be no bigger of an issue for them than having trouble showing their own product and how it influenced revenue and things like that, especially different cases. And it's been really cool. This has helped their own personal pipeline explode because they could show the effectiveness of their tool for themselves and get buy-in from everybody else, right? We can show, hey, these touch points had significant impact. Because I think for a lot of people, this is the situation. I really struggled, Steffen. I don't know if you'll get this joke. It's a very niche joke, but I was talking about dashboards, and I really wanted to call this dashboard confessionals. I don't, only if you're like an elder emo like me is this funny, but I really, really wanted to. And then I just had like dashboard confessional jokes the whole time. And I was like, we'll make it one slide, Hufford. Here's what I want people to answer. And I would love it if people, if you're hanging out with us live, answer this honestly. Like, what is the one channel old attribution models keep telling you to kill, but your gut says don't? What is the one thing you're struggling to get your CFO to put more money into? What is the one thing your CEO still is just not buying works? Or what is one thing that even other well-meaning marketing leaders maybe in your company are saying, hey, how many clicks are we getting from social media? How many, just like stuff like that. How many website visits are LinkedIn Lives generating? Things where you're like, I don't feel like that's the right way to measure that. And it looks in an old attribution model like we need to kill this off. But your gut keeps telling you, I don't think we should. This is also a question I want to answer up front is this going to work for me? I hate it. Steffen, I don't know if you ever see this where people come in and they're like, oh, I want to do a webinar, and they're talking about Apple and Airbnb and Salesforce and whoever else, they're talking about Shopify and Canva. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, I'm not like 1,000+ person company, or I don't have a marketing team of 100+ people with regional CMOs and stuff, whatever. Like, that's just not how we're wired. And do you know what I'm saying, Steffen? Like,
yeah, completely. There's a lot of companies, I think, particularly in marketing, that is thinking too much about scale instead of just putting one good activity next after the other good activity. You had one good webinar, set up another good webinar instead of thinking, can this become a show that runs for years and scales to 2 times per week and all these things? When you're 50 people or something like that, you just need consecutive good stuff. You don't need a massive channel that can scale to infinity.
Or even if you're small, like Sendoso's team, which is why I want to talk about this first. Like, Sendoso has a small marketing team, right? They're at given points, the team size has changed, but I don't think it was ever more than 5 or 6 people. They don't have an infinite budget. They have the biggest brand in their space.
Absolutely.
They're not a household name necessarily. Like, maybe in my circles, they absolutely are, but maybe in some not. But like, I'm not giving you examples today of like, hey, let's do like what Pinterest did or something. Like, that's not always super applicable. What is applicable is this works whether you are a marketing team of 2 or a marketing team of 20 or a marketing team of 200. Everything today is going to apply.
Yeah. One of the examples I was thinking of, Brendan, as you were calling out stuff that you think works, that is hard to prove, is like paid social in general, but in particular LinkedIn I was thinking about, because the social channels you're not out in Google actually writing something where you want to find a page and then click to that page. On paid social, we're interrupting the feed that you're already, when you might kind of expose some kind of content and somebody might watch that video for 30 seconds and then continue scrolling. It still planted a seed within that person who invested that time in consuming your content, but they didn't click through. And if you don't click through, there's no chance on earth that the CRM is going to record the value of your marketing actually reaching the right person, spending 30 to 60 seconds with your brand. But that's sorry for the pitch here, but attribution vendors here, we are official partners of LinkedIn, and we get company level data from LinkedIn through their API that gives us the opportunity to say somebody from Growth Sprints or Sendoso consumed the content, and you know what, the next day they showed up directly on the website. Is there a correlation or like causation here? Yes, there is, but the CRM has no chance of spotting this.
And this is one of the, I'm going to pitch this really quick too. I've had this sitting on my desk for so long, ever since I got you to send it to me. First of all, this, if you never, every single company, steal this, devoid of everything we're about to talk about, steal this strategy of what Dreamdata did. They created this benchmark report, and most of benchmark reports are just PDFs that go to die in your Dropbox somewhere. This is like well-designed, color printed, like this will live here on my desk forever. Like, it's just this one. I've got one from my buddy Mark at User Evidence. Like, if you create something worth turning, first of all, use it as a forcing function to turn something into paper. If it's not good enough to print, don't make it, but make something good enough to print, and then print it, send it to people. Super, super effective.
I think actually, Brendan, you kind of were the linchpin the last time we did a live. You were talking about physical stuff, and that made me think, for this report, let's try to make it in print as well. Another example is Cognizant Alice, their CMO. They've done a book about being a CMO, and it lives rent-free in our office, and my eyes pass it like once or twice, 3 times, 4 times per month, and every time they get another impression, and they don't pay for it.
That's so fun. Yeah, you've been getting daily impressions on my desk, and really, like, I'll do the same thing on calls. I'll be like, oh, actually, and I'll like show people stuff in here. It's so much cooler than being like, let's share my screen. It's funny. When I started working with Sendoso, this was something I work with a lot of brands on content IP, and one of the pieces of IP, naming the problem that they solve, the big thing they're trying to solve at Sendoso was this digital fatigue. We're getting worn out by digital. Everything's digital. We're overwhelmed. We are drowning in digital marketing.
That's a good term, Brendan.
Digital fatigue. It's not. I won't take credit for it. I'm just helping them run with it. That was definitely a Casey Jenkins and Austin and Katie and the team there.
Totally resonates with me.
It resonated with everybody. I made a post about it, and it blew up, and that was the signal we needed to be like, okay, cool. So Amanda's comment here that you see on the screen came from that post. And they're really working on pushing digital fatigue, the experience economy, and things like that, but they have to prove it. Because what happens is when you're using these old attribution models, you end up having to cut channels that we already talked about. Val, I saw in the comments, was saying, I think like influencers and creators are working way better than people might expect. That would be a really cool thing to track in Dreamdata, is like touch points from all of those, or touch points from even something like this, right? The other these are the things that cause low tenure with CMOs and VPs, right? Your top performing channels always are just where people last clicked. Sales and marketing are fighting all the time. Your CFO doesn't trust you. And even your best stuff, you get these great deals and you think as a marketer, you're like, look, I brought this great deal in and we closed it and everything's great. And still nobody trusts you because you can't actually explain how you got them. You're like, but we did it. We accomplished the goal. We're killing it. We're double pipeline and we're over this and we're killing all our numbers. And they're like, yeah, but you still you can't replicate it because you don't know. And it's so hard for marketing to get a seat at the table. I think everybody watching this would be like, I have lived through one of these things, if not all of them. I'm not trying to trauma bond us, but
and if to be fair to the rest of the organization, everybody's just hopefully trying to make the most of every dollar that they spend.
Yep.
So kind of, should we hire an extra engineer or should we go for a marketing campaign? And they're just trying to deploy the dollars as effective as they can. And that's why you as a marketer need to kind of be able to play that game, saying that, give me $1, I'll tell you what we're going to do about it.
Yep. I think, and I agree. I don't mean to vilify anybody else within an organization, but even Jeff said in the chat, like, agree on LinkedIn paid social, especially if they're checking LinkedIn on a weekend when they're not in work mode, things like that. Jeff, you're going to love something I'm going to share here in a moment. It actually proves you should, I'll try to share these slides or something. You can screenshot them, whatever you want. There's some stuff in here that'll really be helpful for marketers. Cause I feel like this is a silly meme, but it is what first and last click attribution actually is. If you've ever seen this, like, it's like, here's how to draw an owl, draw some circles, draw the rest of the freaking owl. Like, that's kind of what first and last click is. It's like, start with this, and then all of a sudden, yada, 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 owl. And we don't have any idea in between. And I think we would all agree, number one on the screen here does not turn into number two. So first and last click, like, it was wonderful. It just doesn't work. And everybody says, all the vendors that do first click and last click and everything, they always say, now don't use like, this is just for informational purposes. Don't use this to make decisions, whatever else. But then I feel like everybody does. Like, it is the language they have preached from the stage in their content and whatever else to every CEO and CFO out there. So they think that's what it is.
A point that we so often see that is a bit harder to get across is that, like, simplistically saying yes, first and last touch they could actually be valid models. But if that first or last touch is selected based on you grabbing 4 clicks of a journey, that is actually 400 clicks. That is kind of I think an oversight that many, like, when they say, no, we actually do attribution and we do first touch or we do last touch. Yeah, but you're looking at like 4 touches out of a journey that has a lot more touches. So what you're selecting between, I know there's a bit of boring point to get across, but it's actually what they say is the first touch. It's not the first touch. It's maybe the 16th touch on the journey.
Not their first website visit. They listened to 6 podcasts and they met somebody and whatever else. But the first thing in your CRM, the first thing that shows up is a website visit.
Yeah.
How'd they get there? They just magically heard about it. They just randomly typed a URL, right?
Yeah. I try to say to people, direct is never direct.
Yes.
If you get that, if you get that,
indirect,
then, you're in a good situation.
The worst, you know what the worst part of this is? The hardest part for me is that you never find out what has worked until it's too late to double down. You'll look back and be like, oh, we were really crushing it with this, or we have a gut feeling with this was work. It's too late. It's really hard to replicate some magic that you had around a campaign. And it's like, dang, that campaign was really impactful, but because a marketing cycle is long, and because our sales, Sendoso saw this a bunch, they did gingerbread campaigns and Halloween spooky campaigns and piñata campaigns and all this stuff. Well, that marketing didn't even, like, that would bring in some pipeline, but they see those things close years later.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, dang, if we only knew that worked, if we had a platform that showed us, like, that's easier. But if we don't, dang, we should have put more money into that. That would have really crushed. We would have 10x'd our goals, if we only knew what was actually working.
That exact point was actually what led me to dare to kind of co-found the Dreamdata together with my co-founders. That in my last company as a B2B marketing leader, I was judging the value of the ad spend the immediate month where I spent the money, even though I knew that those 2 events, a click and then somebody coming to the website and buying or ordering a demo, had nothing to do with each other. But that was the market. That was like Google Analytics, a CRM system, Facebook ads, and so forth. But marketers were left with this horrible way of understanding their ad spend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Appreciate you all. Reminded me that I needed to add this. Liz, Elif, and a couple other people reminded me to share the screen where I'm talking through stuff. I think what's interesting is how Sendoso kind of flipped the script, right? We went from all these problems to Casey Jenkins saying, all right, cool, I own 100% of pipeline. I own the BDRs. BDRs, this is my strong opinion. I think BDRs are marketing. And if you treat them as marketing, I understand usually their progression is from a BDR into an AE into the sales org. But as a function, it works really, really well in marketing. Casey decided to take that on. Her and Katie tag team that, and they've had a incredibly effective journey at Sendoso. So there was no more fighting over credit. There was no more last click thinking, but they really did need some sort of better data to back this up, because This is what they were looking at. Seven, you ever seen something like this? This is exactly what we're talking about, right? Organic search and web direct, and then a bunch of other stuff in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if these are your two top revenue sources. It's all of us. It's everybody here. It's so rare where people are like, no, it's actually I'm sure there's some businesses. I don't mean to group everybody. There's tons and tons of nuance to this. So I'm really sensitive to that. But I think generally what we would see with first click or last click, I came up in the SEO world. I loved first click and last click. That was the best because they would Google something random. There's your first touch. Yeah. Got them. They're Google now. Or you get them Googling the brand later to come back and buy. Got them. SEO's killing the game. We're the best, right?
I think for most companies, the organic search really represents just a branded search for the company name and not actual organic search on stuff unrelated to that brand.
Yeah, I do think there's plenty, and it's again nice to see those touch points of like, oh my gosh, this account came through. Boom, 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 a bunch of different times on all of these different searches. We're doing it well. We're mapping our content to the buyer's journey and all that stuff. But I remember when I was in-house at Active Campaign, I asked the person running paid to, and this isn't an indictment on anybody, but like I asked them like, hey, what paid keywords are we crushing to see like, hey, should we rank for that stuff organically too? It was all branded. We were yeeting so much money into the sun every single month in branded search. And I was mad that paid was getting credit, but then I went, wait, I shouldn't get credit either. It's actually neither of us. It's everything else the company is doing that's making somebody Google the brand, right?
But it's a good content tactic if you do have the transparency of which keywords are actually working to make sure you're also grabbing the organic traffic on the same thing. So super valid question you were asking.
Yeah, my friend Jay Acunzo always says, don't market more, matter more. And I think we could all agree, like everybody here, yes, totally, Brendan, totally agree. We don't just checkbox market, make a million marketing materials. We don't need to random acts of market this. Like, let's matter more. Let's become somebody's favorite, as Jay would say. But the problem is, it's really hard to measure what matters unless you have a platform that shows you a view like this. Here's why I love the views in Dream Data. I'm going to be really like promotional for a second. I love this because this is something that visualizes the value to non-marketers. That's the biggest thing. It's the thing I said as soon as we signed on today. I am here to help people build defensible careers that they're proud of. And one of the easiest things that helps you do that increases your tenure in a position, gets you more budget, gets you headcount, lets you do marketing you're proud of, is being able to show a journey like this. Look at all these different touch points. Now, this is an actual journey from Sendoso, and they've put it in their brand colors. I'll show you some screenshots here in a second. But this is exactly what you will be able to show your leadership in terms of like, hey, this whole thing started. They saw some ads back in June 2024, and we didn't win them until the end of April 2025. They didn't even become an opportunity until October. That's a pretty good size. The marketing cycle in that case was equal to the sales cycle. I would argue, and like we've talked about, it's actually hundreds of days. Like it's actually usually bigger than the sales cycle in a lot of cases.
And here, attribution, it's not guessing. You're looking at objective facts that here's a digital touch, here's a digital touch, here's a digital touch, and all of it is mapped into a timeline that you may or may not like, but it's that objective timeline of the digital touches that are available.
And all of a sudden, you also have better feedback of like, what does matter? How do we move the needle here? How do we do even non-digital touches? To Sendoso's point, how do we include gifting and events and all of these conversations and things that maybe aren't digital, that are more, I don't know, human, right? Like, how do we include those? That all of that shows up too. And all of a sudden, like, things get really a lot better internally, right? That's funny. Liz said always web direct. And I agree, Paige, like nobody wants to be sold to. I do think being pushed, I do think people want to be, I want to be wined and dined. I like being sold to, but I think like I think I'm an outlier here.
I want to wine and dine you, Brendan, as well.
We're all just, you know what I mean though? Like we're tired of like the pushy over the top, like the newsletter that's like, 3 blog posts in a trench coat. Like we're tired of that like overly promotional stuff, but we want to see what matters. The hard part is getting leadership to buy into and invest into things, especially if you're, just a director and there's a lot of other layers of leadership and stuff that can be really, really, really quite challenging. So one of the things I want to do is I organize this into 3 not so secrets of marketing attribution. And I want to give you the true behind the scenes of what I saw happen at Sendoso. I think this is really, really impressive. The first is attribution's broken. Everybody, it's not a secret. It's out. We all know it.
Yeah.
We all know it doesn't work. Usually when I, do discovery with clients, I'm like, what version of bad are we all agreeing to here? Is it first or last or W or multi-touch, or it's all bad? What version of bad do we like? But everybody knows, like, it's not a secret anymore. And the problem is, again, when you have leadership saying if it doesn't show up, it's not working, that's problem. In their case, everything was brand. Everything is like multi-touch attribution kind of revealed this truth in terms of dream data where we could see every single touch. And this is what it looked like. Like, this is what you would see in there and be able to say, all right, cool. Look at all these touch points. And here's what's wild. Steffen, look at how long this is. This starts in May 2022.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have all of this activity coming through in 2025, right? And they didn't become tier 1, or I'm sorry, not tier 1, S1 until 2025. And all of this would be lost. All this work that people did. This is so, so important to be able to see all of these things of who made contact, when, what are the touch points, not just in marketing, but also you can see on here, like, also sales touch points. What's going on? How are we engaging with this account? We would never know otherwise. We would be trying to pull from 50 different platforms and look here and look there. And then just kind of, again, faith-based marketing, cross our fingers and hope we hit our pipeline goals for the quarter. From marketing that we started 3 years ago.
When it's not just kind of a marketing use case, it is the same thing. If you're the AE working that S1 opportunity, you'd want to see what path has this company taken, study the sessions, what kind of content has been consumed. Is now the right timing to do a follow-up? How do we get this account to continue to move down our sales funnel?
Yep. I think Sendoso sees an average of 8 channels in every closed one deal.
Yeah.
8 channels mixed. And this is something I'm like super, like, we're not looking necessarily for causation. Which one? I mean, Steffen, if I asked you to be like, which dot on here is the causation that moved them? Is it the last ad impression? Is it? It's not. It's all of them. We're just looking for correlation. We're just trying to say, like, hey, the accounts that are winning, or the accounts that are closing faster, we can slice the pie however we want, but we're just looking for a correlation of, like, oh, when we do this, it increases trust. When we do this, it moves people. They're able to buy more quickly. And you get emails. This blows my mind. You get emails like this. Appreciate the follow-up on this. Casey and Katie have been brilliant helping us think through all this stuff. Look at this last sentence. I'm going to read it to you. I hate it when adults read slides to other adults, but I'm going to do it anyways. If you can share some proposals with us beforehand, that would be great. Consider me far along in the decision process. Dark funnel shopper here. Decision is already made. This is a lot of us right now.
Yeah.
What a
I saw some G2's, what was it called? Buyer report or whatever it's called, saying that, also claiming that more and more of the buying the journey happens outside the AEs. People make up their own mind before ever reaching out to you. So that's a tendency we need to take super serious as marketers.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And I get it. Back in the day, people didn't have education. You needed to learn, like, a salesperson would hit you up and be like, hey, I'm a rep for so-and-so company. You've never bought this type of thing before. Let me walk you through how to buy this. Yeah. Right. Let me walk you through how to buy us. Let me walk you through how this even works. And now we all know how to buy software. We all, Steffen, I'm not going to call him out. It's funny enough. I was on a call with Sendoso, and we were trying to set up a software that we needed between us, right? Me as an outside consultant, them internally. Yeah. We could not, 3 very smart, very senior marketers could not buy this software. It was like, oh my God, we clicked the wrong button. Now we have to book a demo. We can't go back. It was, we then tried to buy another software. We're like, screw it. We don't care. We love this one, but we need to get this going. Buy the other software. Couldn't get that to work. Like, it was so, and it's like, we know how to buy this stuff right now. We don't need a demo. I don't need an AE. Just show me where, and this isn't true for everybody in every product, but I was like, just show me where to put my credit card, please.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is what as a salesperson, wouldn't you love to be like, oh, I'm definitely going to hit OTE because I'm just getting all these sales. Like, I'm just taking orders at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's wonderful. Your job is just to expand the account as much as possible, give them the best possible deal, the most possible features, and keep it moving. The other thing the other not so secret part of what we're talking about today is you don't need perfect data. We all know this, right? But so many times we are held back thinking we gotta and I can't trust my attribution until the data is perfect. And what was cool, again, with Sendoso and being able to dive into dream data with them was like we had directional clarity. If we think about this as like a vector, like we just need to be moving in the right direction. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I don't want to scare anybody here, and I don't want to make this sound negative about dream data. Like, when you start a new software like this, you're going to look in there and be like, I don't know if this looks right. I don't know if that's right. Is this connected? Like, there is some work to do to make sure everything's connected. We have the right, but directional clarity in the first minute is so important. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Now I immediately know what I'm doing, where I went. Like I said, I use dream data myself. Like, I have some sort of clarity of like, hey, I understand how newsletter touch points work and all of these, like, I all of a sudden can see really clearly, oh, interesting. They are, I have all of these organic LinkedIn touch points or these paid LinkedIn touch points. Like, I can see stuff. Again, directional clarity. Is this having an impact immediately?
I typically think about it as kind of, if you think like about normal distribution, and then there's some stuff that are clearly not working, and then there's some stuff that are clearly working. And if you just pay attention to like stopping some of the stuff that is not working and then moving that budget, those activity over to the activities that you get some response that it is working, then over time you drive down CAC, you become more efficient, you do acquire customers more effectively.
Yep.
And don't, as you said, kind of don't obsess about what's behind the comma, point, dot something. Think about the big things, like where can you move percentages? Where can you move double digits instead?
Absolutely. Also cool. Shout out Anna and Austin in the chat. Now Austin's here, so I just got super nervous. No big deal. Austin's one of the brilliant marketers at Sendoso. And honestly, I'm not saying this lightly, like one of the best people I've ever worked with. The thing that I want to highlight here is it gives us justification for brand investments. We all know brand matters. The first thing we want to buy, the brand we like the most is, I forget what the percentage is, but like it's almost 100%. That's who we end up buying. Yes, you're putting together a consideration set. Yes, your boss asks you to vet these 3 different, solutions or whatever. The one you liked the most before you started is almost always the one you end up buying. And why? Because of brand. We all bought Drift. It was just a chatbot. It wasn't, no offense to Drift. Like, it was just a chatbot, and they made chatbots so cool and kind of hip hop. And I love everything was cool.
Yeah.
It was just, but if they were like, hey, anybody want live chat on your website? Everybody was like, nope, don't want it. But all of a sudden they had conversational, like they made so many brand investments. And that's a really hard thing, I think, in this day and age, when we're hyper addicted to old attribution models. It's very hard to justify a brand investment. And if we look, you see a similar to the pie chart earlier, but this is a slide, an internal secret slide from Sendoso. But this is all brand. Email is brand, events are brand, dinners, social, referrals, direct traffic driven by brand marketing, community is brand, like word of mouth is brand, webinars. This is brand right now. Right? Like, Sendoso's not paying me, but like, this is brand. Somebody might go be like, what is Sendoso? That's super interesting. Like, it's all brand. And the only way they've been able to show the ROI of a brand investment is with a platform that's able to track some of these things. And again, we're not looking for causation. We're just looking for correlation, direction, things like that. I don't know. Would you agree, Steffen?
No, I was thinking about this term of brand, and I guess it's just like when you start cold in a new company. First thing you'll do is you'll start to define a set of accounts that you want to be targeting. And how do you open up those accounts? Well, you don't open up those accounts with saying, buy our product, book a demo call.
Yeah.
You need to build up trust in your brand. So brand is also, you can say, a different expression of saying something that happens early in the customer journey. And, meeting somebody at a community dinner, or starting to warm up the ads with the accounts seen by seeing Casey at an event or whatever it is. You need to do a lot of stuff to unfreeze, to kind of start the customer journeys. And I think the brand is a good, a broad definition of what that means. But to me, it means you can't just go and say, buy my shit. You need to politely be allowed to actually enter into a conversation with these accounts and these people. And you do that through good brand action.
Could you imagine if the CTA on every website was like, hey, want to become a lead?
Yeah.
Nope. I thought about changing mine on my own website on Growth Prints to be like, hey, you want to become a lead? But I think that's effectively what most of it is. Like, it's just like, hey, do you want to, I'm going to try to get you to open enough emails or something to qualify you as an MQL, and then we're going to send all the BDRs after you for 100 years until you buy. And it's like that. I totally get it.
Yeah.
The predictable revenue model, I get it. It worked. Yeah. It still works for some places. It's really challenging, right? We're seeing diminishing return, and we're seeing this renewed investment in things like this.
But I think I think in the go-to-market market at the moment, we're seeing this rise of signal-based outreach. And I think that's also an expression that 100% brand is super duper important. But if you're never able to kind of extract value from the investment you do in brand, then that brand investment just builds awareness, but it doesn't bring you the pipeline you need. And the opposite is that you have all these BDRs just randomly shooting in the dark, trying to open up accounts. So if you're able to study these signals, that these brands that are engaging with your accounts, then tell your accounts, your BDR team, these are the accounts that are actually showing the signals that typically look like somebody who's buying. Those are the people that you can harvest the fruits of our brand investment from.
Who owns pipeline at Dreamdata? It's probably not one of these answers, but I feel like these are the common answers. It's either sales, marketing, nobody knows, or everyone fights about it.
Yeah. It's predominantly, we've been inbound led, but we're trying to move a little bit more into the signals-based outreach from sales as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we never, ever want to do ice cold outbound because this is a waste of time. There's enough signal out there to study who should we actually spend our time on.
Where are you finding, just like as an aside, where are you finding like the strongest signals coming from? Like where of what you're looking at, like what seems to be working really well right now for you?
You know what, Brendan? I really, really want to do a benchmark report on this later in the year, because we just released these AI signals so the Dreamdata AI now scans your whole data warehouse for things that means that you're normally buying stuff. And the correct answer to what's working is that it's completely unique to every company, that different kind of digital events have different meaning for different companies. So I want to put in a cliffhanger saying that I will study these AI defined signals in a generalized form later on. But I can, from the top of my head, somebody who studies your documentation, somebody who looks in your trust center, somebody who looks on your about page, somebody who that was one that came up for ourselves, somebody who looks at your community page. Those are the kind of people that are truly in market, because they're trying to evaluate whether can we trust this company or not. And those are not pages with a lot of visitors, but the pages that do find the people that do find their way down to these due diligence pages. Those are really people you want to be reaching out to.
It's funny. I run a marketing community called All In for in-house marketers. I've been a part. The reason I started that is because I was in 15 other communities, Slack communities, right? And you can always tell when the community is just like, it's not a community, it's just lead gen, right? It's just every day with the @channel, come to this event, do this thing, take some sort of trackable action that we can push you and show this community is generating revenue and things like that.
That's like 9 out of 10 Slack communities.
It's really brutal. And it's one of the reasons like that I'm very nervous about expanding all in, right? There's like 1,000-ish marketers in there right now. I don't want it to be 10,000. I don't want it to be 100,000. I think like, that gets really dicey, but I like that it's small and valuable for people. And I wish more companies would let it be small and valuable. But again, if you're not able to see any sort of signal from there, and the only way you can get signal from there is like pushing them to do a website visit or sign up for something or download a ebook or white paper. I don't know, God forbid, whatever we're still doing. Like, it's one of those things. And that's where you get into this, like, everybody fights about it thing, right? It shouldn't be a battle. We all agree. We're all here. It's not a secret. Attribution should not be a battle. And I thought this was really, really cool. It's interesting. I didn't ask permission to share this part, so I blurred some stuff out. But hopefully we're cool with this, because I thought this was like the moment. I'll be honest with you, Steffen. This was the moment where I was like, oh, I want to share this publicly.
Really nice.
Seeing this, having somebody running ads and them saying, hey, they're converting, but like, look at this. They're an outbound. They saw 3 ads the day before they converted. Now, all of a sudden, it's like, the ad, like, again, direct. It just would have counted as direct. We would have never known that, like, oh yeah, they did see a bunch of ads. It visually reminded them. They probably put a little note of like, oh yeah, I got to go check out Sendoso. Right. And again, you see this alignment. It's not a battle anymore. Casey can just go, I love this. This is so cool. We're all winning. Like, we just want to, again, we're just looking for that correlation of like, oh, cool. They do see ads and then they come direct. We've always known it's true, but now we can show our CEO. They met Casey at an event, then they came direct. They saw 3 ads, then they came direct. They did this, and then they Googled the brand name, right? Yeah. It's this shared reality of everything. And it's really nice to have a single source of truth where it's like any executive can log in there and look at any point and see, oh, wow, it is this big canvas, this big customer journey.
That's so true.
It's one of those things that I'm super excited about, because the results are there, right? The biggest result has been investments that matter. I'm not going to share Sendoso's public financials or anything like that, although I would love to. They're crushing it. But I will say they're able to make investments that matter because now they can visualize things. This is something they were sharing internally, and they see this in their own data, that they can now say, hey, when we have this level of engagement on LinkedIn, or this level of engagement, or this level of engagement, deal sizes are way higher and we win more. Okay, cool. We can make more of an investment in LinkedIn, not just because we believe in it, but because we can actually see in the data, the dream data, if you will, that like this actually works, that this is worth investing in. And they can do the marketing that they love and that works. And I think that's the hardest thing for marketers right now, is you're stuck doing all this stuff you hate that doesn't really work, but it is the stuff that gets the last click, And
this is exactly what we talked about in the beginning, Brendan, about being able to sort of speak the language of the other parts of your organization. When Casey shows, do you want these deals that has 24% higher deal value and a better closing rate, or do you want these deals where there's low closing rate and lower deal sizes? That's language the salespeople get.
Absolutely. Like, do you want double the deal size? Maybe getting them to follow these specific people on LinkedIn. Now, again, bad marketing would be like, okay, cool, let's just follower campaign, get everybody to follow them. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. You can't just like manipulate it and be like, let's just buy followers. Like, people make all sorts of weird takeaways from this. But again, it's doing the stuff that actually matters, So I think the biggest thing that, like I said, that's what I'm really excited about. I'm curious. I would love it if everybody would drop this into the chat here. Tell me, what's one bet you wish you could make in your marketing if attribution wasn't a blocker? What is something like super fun, super interesting, a bet you would make? And it's like, dude, if I could prove the ROI of this, I would love to make this bet. Because I think Steffen, I want to ask you, but I mean, you kind of have it, right?
Yeah, but I can share one story, which is we started playing around with Reddit ads in the fall and starting posting some of our most successful memes from LinkedIn on Reddit. And they did actually get a lot of upvotes, but I have not been able to find any proof at all that people arrived to our website afterwards and people actually became pipeline or something like that. So that Reddit is kind of, at least for now, the one that got away from me, but we might be back as kind of Reddit continues to grow. But we had a lot of verified successful memes from LinkedIn that I just started deploying as ads on Reddit, and they did get a lot of upvotes. I just haven't been able to prove the value of it as of now.
It could be one of those things where it's like, a year from now, you're like, oh wow, like we're seeing a bunch of Reddit touch points. That was the first time they got exposed to the brand. Like that's it. But again, you'll be able to see it because you're not married to last click attribution.
Yeah, exactly.
Or first click, which is even worse, of like they clicked a Reddit, meme, and then they converted 3 years later. Guess it was Reddit. Like maybe not, right? But you can see the whole journey.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's cool. Will said if attribution wasn't a blocker, I'd make a bet on brand and community as a massive strategic moat against any competitor. I would agree. I think like we can call brand a lot of different things. I think this community all of a sudden, events I'm seeing in the chat. Jay said YouTube, same for me. Like being able to show leadership, the impact. I think like YouTube is one of like the last holdouts of where it is a little bit more democratized in terms of distribution and stuff. Video is definitely worth investing in from a don't market more, matter more, as Jay would say, kind of standpoint. It's nice to be able to show those types of things.
Yeah.
So
I wish more platforms would have like an account concept like LinkedIn has. If YouTube had account concept, that would be great for us B2B marketers.
Yeah, they're not on the B2B game yet, but we'll try to get them there. I really think we got two options, right? We either keep optimizing for broken dashboards, dashboard confessionals, if you will, or we start measuring what actually moves pipeline. This has been a lot of fun hanging out and chatting with everybody. I would encourage everybody. We're not wrapping up yet. I'm definitely here to answer questions. I know Steffen is as well. Please make sure follow Steffen, follow Dreamdata, follow Casey here on LinkedIn. That is the best place to stay up to date with. They're sharing more than I ever can possibly share and giving away for free. All like even this like we were joking about the benchmarks thing earlier. Like having these things and being able to say like what is good, what is working, having access to everything you're seeing across all of your customers in aggregate, Steffen, I think is one of the coolest parts of following you. You also do a lot of cool events like this with great guests. I was just hanging out with you and Ross Simmons the other day. I jumped in there. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, make sure you follow us. I'm happy to answer any other questions. Steffen, do you have any other thoughts as I kind of wrap up the slides?
No, I really, really appreciate the time here, Brendan. And I think sometimes about being able to measure is also about being a little bit creative about how do we actually map these things into to journeys. And I just want to like tell you a little bit about how we've like doing the LinkedIn lives that we've been doing like weekly for a couple of years now. We do take all the people who click attend, and then we run them through an enrichment process. And then by doing that enrichment process and then uploading it to Dreamdata, we're actually able to say these people who just attended, they were actually consuming our content. And if they consume enough of our content, we were able to trigger signals for the sales team afterwards.
I love that. Misha said that in the chat here. Events, like definitely more events. So it's really cool to hear like you're able to see in there, even from stuff that you would think wouldn't be trackable. All of a sudden you can say like, hey, they're showing up again. I mean, think about it. Getting somebody who you would love to have as a customer that you know you can help. They show up every single week live. They make time on their calendar to come hang out. I don't think there's a lot stronger of a signal than that, you know?
Yeah, no, that was actually what got us interested in trying to understand who shows up, because we started looking at doing some samples, and 2 out of 3 people attending those lives are B2B marketers, and we sell to B2B marketers. So we've proven there is enough demand for these shows, and we can see it's the right people. Okay, let's try to utilize this in at letting our salespeople know who's actually part of these.
I love that. I'll say this as we kind of wrap up. If you want the slides, I'm happy to give them to you. I'm not gonna make this engagement ransom, because you're only gonna hear me say this if you've watched the whole thing. But if you want the slides, drop a comment, and I'm happy. I will DM you the slides. I'll also, if people are following you, Steffen, or they reach out to you, I'm happy to share those too. But
Absolutely.
Definitely comment if you want these slides. I'm happy to share them to you. I hope they help you make a use case internally for, if not using something like Dream Data, making investments like this. You can show like, hey, this is what worked for Sendoso. They obviously works. Maybe you have a similar audience. You're also in MarTech or something, or you just want to be able to show like, hey, this is possible somewhere. I'm happy to share those slides. Just drop a comment. We'll make those available for you. Steffen, I really appreciate you. I know it is later in the day where you are, but I appreciate you. I'm fully over caffeinated at 9 to 10 a.m. But I appreciate you hopping on. This was a lot of fun. I'm very grateful for what you have built and the marketing that you continue to do, and let me be a part of it.
Brendan, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk about our customer case here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Awesome. Stephanie, I already saw you in the chat requesting the slides. I'll get those to anybody else who comments. Otherwise, we appreciate you all. We'll see you soon.
Bye.